So I walked a little bit further into the forest here off the trail network, and there's this spot that I've known about for years. I've tried to photograph it before, normally from the inside. But anyway, I just found this spot where there's just a gap in the trees, and it's a really thick copse of pines. And I'm gonna turn around here so you can see it. There's this really thick copse, and just beside my head here, there's the one tree, and then there is another tree a few feet off to the side there, with a tree in behind as well. And it's just like a portal or a gateway into this really dark, moody forest. And today the light's not great, as you can see. It's all overcast today, so you're kind of limited with what you can do. You have to kind of work with stuff that has mood and feeling, and doesn't necessarily require brilliant light. So you're kind of making the best of the situation that you're handed. And I have to say, I'm actually quite pleased with this image. So we're gonna see how that one goes. So I'm gonna start walking back now. But yeah, today's been a little bit of a challenge from a photography standpoint. And apparently there's trees coming down in the forest too, which is kind of interesting. Come on, girls. It's an interesting day back here actually, because for the last few weeks, with the weather starting to warm up, we've been starting to notice more and more smells from wild animals starting to appear in the forest. You'll just be walking and you start to smell, what's that? It smells like a bear or other things. Something, I don't know what's going on in the forest today, because all of a sudden there's just this crashing, banging sound going on in the forest somewhere off behind my left side here, sort of off in that general direction. I don't know what it is, because there's no trails back that far. The trail that I'm just about to step onto here is really the furthest reach of the trail system in through here. There's nothing really that goes any further back. So, don't know what's making that noise. I'm almost certain it's man-made. But interesting that it's suddenly appearing out of nowhere. So yeah, we're gonna, oh, there they go. We're gonna head for home here and see what we've got. How's it going, everyone? I am currently sitting here waiting out the ice storm / rainstorm we got going on out here. I came out to the beaches today, and well, it's a little foggy because I've been waiting for the ice pellets to die off for a little while here, but it's just because I've got the two dogs in the car with me today. Maggie, where are you? Oh, Anna. There's Maggie. There we go. Yeah, so they're just hanging out here while I wait out the storm and then go and do more photos. But I came out to the beaches today because we've had this really dramatic cold front come through, or this really good cold front come through, and it's brought in some really gusty winds. And so on the beaches, there's the big waves breaking on the ice and on the rocks. So I came out to try and photograph that today. And I actually got some really cool photos, not so much of the breaking waves, believe it or not, but I got some really nice photos of the Blue Mountain ski resort, so to speak, on the far side of the bay here. And it turned out really nicely, actually, because I had really dramatic clouds overhead, and there was the sunlight streaming and lighting up the hillside. And then there was the breaking waves and the heavy swells and the path and the sand in front of me. And I'm really happy with how that image came out, at least on the screen. We'll see when we get it back. Just checking my settings here. This was before I put the polarizer on. Vertical composition, 80th of a second, f11, ISO 100 at 100 millimeters, give or take, with my 70-200. So I'm really happy with how it came out. We're going to see how it looks when I get it into the computer. But so far, pretty happy. And I'm hoping that this rain/ice that's coming down on me is going to dissipate soon, but I don't think that it is. So I may end up just seeking out another location here. We'll see. Hi, Maggie. Maggie's just sitting there watching me here. And Anna's laid down. Hi, Anna. Anna. Hi. The girls love having their day out. They're happy out. So we're going to wait a few more minutes and see what this does and go from there. But if this continues, I'm going to check out a few other locations and see if I can get anything else. So we'll see how it goes. So I wanted to share a little bit of my workflow on the Lightroom side when I bring my images in. So after I import all my images, I bring them into Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. And of course I go into develop, and the first thing I do that I haven't shown here is I always apply my lens corrections, make sure everything is as corrected as possible. For this image here from this morning at the beach, I didn't actually go too overboard, and sorry, you can probably hear the cat sitting here next to me. But anyway, I didn't go too overboard. My main workflow with this one, I boosted the contrast almost 30 points because the scene was pretty dramatic already. The sky was very dramatic, and although there was the very bright highlight on Blue Mountain on the far side of the bay, the beautiful crashing waves. So I worked a lot with the existing tones. My settings for the day: 91 mils, 1/50th of a second, f11, ISO 100 with my 70-200. Gave me that nice compression. At f11, I had virtually everything in the scene in focus except for my closest foreground elements. The grass and the rushes start to get just slightly soft. Going back to my editing side, as I was saying, my contrast I put at 28 points. Boosted my highlights a little bit, my whites, didn't touch the shadows, then pulled the blacks down just a hair. As far as the settings for my presence, texture, clarity, dehaze, I didn't touch anything with them, not in the main image because it already had good contrast. And the same, I didn't really touch my tonal curve when I was working in this image because I didn't really want to put too much punch back into that top left corner. It was already so bright. The only other thing that I do is I normally put in around 50 points of sharpening, and I pull my noise reduction up a little bit, 10 to 15% when I'm running at 100 ISO. I don't really need to go too heavy-handed with it. So that was the main edits. I used the gradient filter on the sky. That was my main one, was pulling down the sky about 20%. The sky was it was too bright. I was losing my highlight detail quite well, quite a lot, I should say. So I pulled that down, boosted the contrast a little further, pulled down the highlights, push the whites up just a hair, just to bring back a little bit of the highlight detail. And then my texture, clarity, and dehaze, I just seasoned to taste there. The only other real big edit that I did was I dropped in an adjustment brush and dialed down the exposure a little bit over Blue Mountain because the ski runs were so bright. Other than that, though, I didn't really touch too much of it. Next, if I'm exporting for web or for printing, I don't really do this, but I use the print module in Lightroom if I'm doing when I'm doing my exports for the video, because then I can put I can create an image that has a black background that's easy to put into the video, plus it has the white border, using the stroke border tool just to give it that white outline that just helps separate it from the background, helps separate the image and give it a little bit more fit and finish. And then from there, I just print to file. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.